Okay, I'm going to date myself here. I used to get into the ballpark using something known as green stamps. Now, if you're under the age of 40, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But these were stamps that you used to put in a book, and you would redeem them at what was called a redemption center. And you would get a couple of vouchers, and you could go to Yankee Stadium and watch the game of your choice. And very rarely paid for a game. All we had to do was shop and collect stamps. And it was a little bit of a rebate. But after that, there was free agency and big parks and big salaries and a world going out of control. And today's baseball game is nothing like that. When I was driving home one night from work, I had the pleasure of listening to this gentleman. His name is Mike Delucia. The title of his book is Boycott the Yankees. And Mike is a Bronx boy, a Yankee fan. And he's had it with the high prices. He's had it with the crazy stuff happening. And he really wants to make an impression on the owners. So, Mike, it is a pleasure to have you tonight.
Hey, how you doing, Tony?
I am doing okay. Now, tell me about your Yankee history. We all have a Yankee history.
I want to tell you about the second part of the title. Boycott the Yankees, a call to action by a lifelong Yankees fan. That's an important part of the book because people need to know that I am a Yankees fan. I've always been a Yankees fan. And to answer your question, yeah, right from the time I was born, really. I mean, I don't remember when I started being a Yankees fan because we just always were. We were a Yankees family, so as long as I can remember, I always was.
Now, I would imagine, now you were, what was your first Yankee game?
Oh, man, I can't even remember. My earliest memories were Bat Day. That always had such a significant, it left such an impact on me. That was our bat for the season, whenever we played at home.
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah. You still have yours?
No, actually, I'd given it to one of the kids on my tiny league team as the batting title. I had a Joe Pepitone.
I had a Pepitone. I had a Tom Tresh. I think we even had a Greg Nettles. We had a bunch, but I did have a Mickey Mantle. I did have a Joe Pepitone. Joe Pepitone was a big bat, if I remember.
Yeah, it was like a 32-inch bat.
Yeah. So I also remember we used to get the empty soda cups, and we put them on the bottom of the barrel, and then we'd send it down vertical into the floor, and it'd make a big pop. I don't know if you guys did that, but we used to do it. That is interesting. Now, so you were like through the lean years and the early George years and the Billy years and the Joe Torre years. And what I mean, was it a series of events that caused you to write this book and have this cause to action, or was it like one night that just set you off and said, this is terrible, I've got to do something about it? And take your time answering this question, because I know there's a lot of nuances to it. It all started, really, and after I started writing the book, I started really thinking about just the question that you're asking me right now. It was the first time I went to the new stadium. And we're not bleacher creatures, but whenever we went to Yankee Stadium, we sat in the bleachers. And we had our tickets, my son and I went, we weren't happy about the old stadium getting,
Neither was I.
Torn down. But we went there, we had our bleacher seats, and we couldn't believe that the bleachers were not where they're supposed to be. The bleachers in the new stadium, they moved them back and up out of the action. They took those seats that were occupied by the bleacher creatures since Yankee Stadium began, and for more money, they put better seats there. They put comfy seats so they can make more money, and they took the bleacher creatures and they moved them back and away from the action. And, my son and I were looking at each other, and we were like, I don't believe it. I cannot believe they moved the creatures. So that was really the beginning. 2009, of course, won the World Series, and it was actually one of the best games I ever attended. A-Rod hit that home run after Teixeira tied it. He hit the single, and then A-Rod hit that home run, and that same feel. It didn't have the same feel anymore. The energy was gone. And then it started to hit me how expensive it was to go to the games. It really kind of started around 2009. And actually, I was going to write another book. I was going to write a screenplay. And it was 2014. I'm a school teacher, so it was a week before school began. And I had this other idea it was going to be a baseball, screenplay. And one night I was in bed, and I had just been talking, with people about, how angry I was getting about how expensive things were, at Yankee Stadium, and, the concessions, everything you buy with an NY on it, everything's so expensive.
It's insane.
The contracts that they were offering the players, and, baseball's got this, this guaranteed money that they give everybody. I mean, look at the front page of the Post today about A-Rod. He's making, over $20 million a year, and he's sitting on the bench, and that's because it's guaranteed money. And it was these kinds of conversations that I was having with people that one night I was just in bed, and I just said to myself, I have to do something about this. Before this game, before the Yankees are gone, before they lose a whole bunch of their fans, before this whole thing comes apart, I've got to write a book and try and, get us together to get to the Yankees and say, look, you guys are ruining this. You guys are destroying, what it is to be a Yankee, destroying Yankee Stadium. We can't have the old stadium back. It's gone. It's torn down. But we can save the energy. We can save, what we loved as Yankees fans about going to Yankee Stadium. They've got to make it affordable. They have got to make it so that the average person could go to the game. When I was a kid, it wasn't. I mean, my father worked a lot. He worked a couple of jobs, and it wasn't that we couldn't go because we couldn't afford to go. It was because my father was busy, so we go when we had to.
When you're able.
It's no longer about that. It's about, can you afford to bring your family to the game a couple times a year? That's what it comes down to.
Well, and sorry to interrupt, but I could, when I go to a game these days, it's usually, and it happened to me this past week, I have a couple of friends in high places who will every once in a while say, hey, you want to go? Okay, fine. And I got 2 tickets in, but they were for last night's night game, and I wasn't going to go down at night, and as it turned out, they got out like 3 in the morning. And I looked at the seats, Mike, $135 for a baseball game.
Yeah, exactly. $135 for a baseball game. And think about this. If you want to bring your young kids to the stadium, I mean, if you have a couple of kids and you want to bring them, I mean, to make it affordable, you have to sit in the grandstand. Now, you tell me how that's going to hold the kids' attention. Sitting way up in the nosebleed section. I mean, you've got to get the kids down there, right? Right there. I'm not saying that, the nosebleeds are, terrible and all that sort of thing, but when you want to bring your young kids to the game, you're going to lose their attention in no time way up there. And they could be afraid of heights, too. So to sit in a decent spot with your kids is going to cost you $400 or $500 just to go to the baseball game.
And I've run into people when I go. I normally I have a friend out in Hastings-on-Hudson, so it's like a 2-hour ride from where I'm sitting to there. And my saving grace is once I'm on that train, it's only 15 minutes to the stadium. And I talk to families, and the fathers look at me and say, "Well, they decided to have a ball game instead of a vacation." I'm thinking, "Oh my Lord."
Yes. I had a conversation with somebody recently. This guy wanted to have his niece and nephews coming over. His wife said, hey, why don't we go to Yankee Stadium? We'll bring everybody to Yankee Stadium. He said, yeah, well, if we do that, then we can't go. They were going to go to Cape Cod, the following week. Then we can't go to Cape Cod. He said, we can't afford both. And that should never be. It's not, I hate to use it, it's cliche, it's un-American. It's not what the baseball is supposed to be, accessible to everybody. And the Yankees, with the most money of any other team, could afford to make the stadium the cheapest because they've got the money to do it. But they don't. And think about all the income streams they have. You go back before, the Yes Network, and you go even way back before that. how many income streams did the team have? They didn't own their own network. A lot of their money was built around people coming to the stadium. They made, some advertising money, but now, the Yankees are known all over the world. They sell their hats and shirts, and their emblem is sold worldwide. They're making money now like they never made it before. Why aren't they letting their fans come to the game? Why are they selling out to corporate America, who don't even care so much? They don't care about the game. They're there because they have free tickets. They're there because they're going to be eating great food. They're not there to cheer. They don't care if the Yankees win. They don't care if the Yankees win the World Series. You need to have real fans back the way it used to be. I hate to use Fenway Park as an example, but it makes me sick. When I see Fenway Park, it reminds me of the old Yankee Stadium.
It does.
We were better, but they had the energy.
Now, do you feel that this, whatever you want to call it, Mike, this push to the corporate, do you think it's been worsened under Steinbrenner's sons as opposed to the old man?
In the book I talk about George, and I love George. I love, what he did. If I had to do it over again, I would say, nobody had an owner like George Steinbrenner. But he's the one responsible for the new stadium, and I forgive him. I say it in the book. I forgive George because of all the good.
He did, yeah.
All he wanted to do was win. His sons, I don't think they're invested the same way at all. His sons, it's more of a business for them. With the old man, it was personal. I don't get that with them. With them, it's they're going to say, oh, you know what, we put the money into the team. They're not winning. Well, that is and they are paying people. They don't have the same passion. With George, he needed to win. So with George, it was a different story. So I don't know. I guess it could be more corporate, with the boys because they don't have the same passion as George did. So for them, it's more maybe of a business proposition.
Now, if we look at today's ball game and you look at the people who run the Yankees or manage the Yankees, the Steinbrenner boys, the front office and things. When I have gone to the new Yankee Stadium and I've studied it, and people my age, people a little bit younger, say, I can't relate to any of this. This is a shopping mall. This is a a theater. This is not a baseball park. In their defense, not that I would defend them, but what they might say is, we're catering to today's fan. And we're doing this because if we didn't do it, we wouldn't be able to put a good team on the field. Of course, you get stuck with all these free agent salaries way at the end when people can't play. And, then the fans, then nobody would come. How do you, and we will talk about, your idea of a boycott, but how do you fix that? Because this whole runaway train has been going on for years.
Well, the whole idea is so that this catches fire. If I can make this happen in New York, I'm hoping that, it starts happening all over the place. We can't do it alone. The Yankees could afford. One of the things I want the Yankees to do is to drop their ticket price in half. They can do that. They can do that. They get the people back in there again. It would help a lot. But I'm hoping that this catches on and goes across baseball, goes across other sports. They're not going to stop. If, let's just say, numbers like $25 million, never came to the table. And we told somebody like Robbie Cano, we're going to pay you $10 million a year to play baseball for the Yankees. $10 million a year, of course I'll do it. See, now in this environment, he knows he can get $25 million a
There's none.
So the people today, they may not understand what it was like, but one day it's going to be too late. They're not going to have a real affiliation with the team the way we were when we were kids. The only way to do it, really, baseball has to be fixed. They have to stop this guaranteed money nonsense. In the book, I talk about, I say, listen, this is just an idea. It's not, my idea here wasn't to, create a whole new salary system, but they should be salary tiers. You get a signing bonus to play for whatever team you want. Of course, that is a ceiling too. If we're going to pay you $10 million to come and sign with our team, but then after that, once you get your bonus, all of your stats fall into a grid, and that's how you get paid at the end of the year. Now, of course, it will be a good salary, but everybody's on the same playing field. You have to work for your money. You can't tell me that once somebody signs a $250 million deal, that they're going to have the same passion they did before that. And look at the pressure that they're putting on themselves.
And you see people who were, like Alex Rodriguez, who probably should have quit before last year, but certainly at the end of last year. But he's here for the money.
Of course. I get these people who say, somebody offered you all that money, wouldn't you take it? And I really have to think about that for a minute, because I don't know that I would. And if somebody, it's like Mike Trout, some reporter went up to his father and said, your son made a big mistake. Some people say it was stupid that he signed that contract, that he could have gotten much more. They're paying my son, he said, 10 or 15, I forget what he got paid, $10 or $15 million a year to play baseball. That's not a stupid move.
No.
What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? It no longer becomes about money, it becomes about ego. It's about ego. It's about, you paid this guy, or how much can I push you to pay? Every time they do that, it makes it harder for the fans to get, into the ballpark. What are you going to do with the money? Like CC Sabathia, that man opted out of the contract. He got paid an historic amount of money. He was the highest paid pitcher of all time. He wins the World Series with the Yankees, and he opts out. What are you going to do with all that money? You can't spend it. What are you going to do with it? So, baseball and all sports have to be fixed. And the only way it's going to be fixed is if the fans put a stop to it.
Okay,
we control everything. We control everything, Tony.
Well, it's true. Without us, like George used to say, the fannies in the seats. But and that's the thing I wanted to focus on for a moment. How do you envision a boycott? Do you have a date set? Are you garnering support? And what happens at the moment of the boycott? How many parks does it spread across? And what type of an impact are you anticipating?
Well, what I'd like to do is a walkout. If you go to my website, boycotttheyankees.com, I've got a clip on there. In Liverpool, the owner of the Red Sox, bought a team in Liverpool, a soccer team.
Soccer team.
And they raised the prices, and 10,000 fans got up at the same time, and they walked out. They chanted something about, greed and all that. And they walked out, and they lowered the prices before the next home game. That's what I want to happen. I want it to be more of a walkout, and also a boycott as far as, on my website I have, don't buy hats, don't buy shirts, don't buy this. That's a boycott. Once numbers start to come and I start to get more people on the petition, right now I have a couple of hundred people on the petition, but if I have 1,000 people on the petition, now that's where I really begin. Now I've got 1,000 people. Once I get 1,000 people, then I'm going to start to do some stuff. Then I'm going to start to send out emails, and I'm going to start to say, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And that's coming because, I've been in about 5 newspapers so far. I was under Curtis Lever.
That's where I heard you, yes.
With Phil Reisman. I've been getting calls from other people that I won't mention it yet until it comes out.
Understand.
But once this starts to pick up and I start getting more people, I'd like to do a walkout. It would even be great if people boycott, a specific game. The first game of a Boston, New York game. Everybody just kind of go to the stadium and then just walk away. Do like a boycott, something with a presence
They are.
They should. I mean, they can do things that we can only dream about doing, and they should get paid well for it. A lot of money. But I mean, a lot. That's the word. You know, how much is enough? What they're getting paid right now. I mean, Max Scherzer. They're going to be paying him years after he's retired. The fans are going to be paying that guy years after he's done because they deferred all the payments. He's going to be playing golf. He's still going to be getting checks.
Yeah, it's like the Mets and Bobby. They have Bobby Bonilla Day. I know exactly what you're saying. It just gets entirely ridiculous. Mike, believe it or not, we're out of time. We talked about, the time just flies when we do these things. Where can our friends and fans see your website, buy your book, and follow your developments as you move forward?
I'm hoping that they do. The more people who come on and join and say, hey, you know what, we can do this. And I know you're out of time, but the last thing when I hear some naysayers, oh, you can't ever do it. Don't ever say you can't. You can.
I agree with you.
Do it. We can do it. We just have to stick together. What's the worst that can happen? They're going to lower the ticket prices. That's all I want. I want to get us back in the stadium again. Anyway, I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, thanks. And what is your website? Where can the fans see your website and your book?
It's boycotttheyankees.com. You can Google it. You can go directly there if you want. There's a petition on there. There's the book. The book is $9.99. I made it, as cheap as I possibly can because I want to get it out there to people. And there's also a blog on there. So I'm also on Facebook. But if you want to get the book, it's on the petition. And you want to see that video of what they did in Liverpool, boycotttheyankees.com.
Mike, thanks so much. Have a great trip where you're at, and you've been a lot of fun, and we'll continue to talk, and all the best.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Tony.
Take care, Mike. That was Mike Delucia, author of Boycott the Yankees, and a lot more to the title, a lot more to the story, but we're going to be coming right back at you with some retromercials, and then we've got a potpourri of just whatever I was thinking, and I don't think very much. We'll be back right after.